Hi, welcome to the tutorial on data types in Python. By the end of this tutorial, you will be able to list a few types of data files Python can work with and identify and explain the different data types in Python. We will be using Python 3 in this training. Python 3 is the most recent version. However, Python 2, which is the older version, is also quite popular among data scientists. Python has the capability to read and work with almost all the types of files. Mostly we will be working on tabular data, which will be available in text files or comma-separated value files, also known as CSV files. Some of the types of files Python is compatible with are comma-separated values or CSV files, plain text files, XLSX files or MS Excel files, zip files, JSON files, XML files, HTML files, images, PDF files or Adobe files, docx files or Microsoft Word documents, MP3 and MP4 files, or we can say audio and video files. Now, let us talk about the different data types in Python. Every data set will contain variables and each variable will have a data type. Some of the most important data types in Python are numbers, strings, list, tuple, set, and dictionary. Now let's discuss them one by one. The data type numbers stores any numeric values. The numeric values can further be classified into 4 different categories, that is Boolean, integer, floating point numbers, and complex numbers. Let's discuss each of them one by one. Boolean takes values of 0 or 1. Integers or int includes whole numbers and can be of any length depending on the available memory. Let's open the Jupyter notebook. We define a variable a and assign it an integer value. We assign values to a variable using equal to sign. Now, we want to check what data type is a based on the assigned value. For that, we use a function in Python called type. This function returns the data type of the variable we select. Before seeing the output, let us talk about one of the characteristics of Python. It uses a new line to complete a command and it doesn't require any colon or semicolon after the end of each line. Just press Ctrl and Enter and it will execute the code as it is a line-by-line interpreter. Now, let's check the output by pressing Ctrl plus Enter. From the output window, we get int, which means that the variable data type is integer. Now, let's discuss float numbers. They include numeric values containing a decimal point, or we can say fractional numbers. Let's go back to Jupyter Notebook and assign a float value to the variable a by adding a few numbers post the decimal point. Now, let's check the variable type for a. We get float in the output window. Now, let's move on to complex numbers or imaginary numbers. They are written in the form of x plus yj, where x is the numeric part and y is the imaginary part. Let's again define a variable a by adding 8j to that number and we check for the type. We get complex in the output window. So far, we have discussed all the types of numeric values. Now, let's move on to the next data type, that is strings. They comprise a set of Unicode characters which can include a single character or a group of characters. Strings are represented using single or double quotes. Let's first define a set of characters and check for the data types. We get str in our output window. Next, we define a single character with single quotation and check the data type. We get the same results as above. Now let's define two variables which are string in nature and try to concatenate them. By concatenation, we mean combining the strings. For example, when we concatenate A and B, we get AB in return. In Python, we can concatenate two strings by using the plus operator. So let's define two strings, X and Y, which are Sachin and Tendulkar. Now let's try to concatenate the two strings using the plus operator. So we write the code X plus Y and press Ctrl and Enter. We get Sachin Tendulkar in return. We have been successful in combining the two strings. But the combined text is not looking good as there is no space between the first and last name. We must have a space in between. This can easily be done using Python. We have to create a string using space. And how do we do that? Within the inverted commas, we include a space and we concatenate them with the first and last name. Let's press Ctrl and Enter. There you are. We got our desired result. Now let's see if we can print that string in uppercase. For that we write the code print followed by x plus y in brackets dot and then upper with brackets to print in uppercase. The name is printed in uppercase. You can also display the result in any format you wish to. Now let's move on to list. It contains an ordered sequence of items separated by commas, and the items can be of different data types such as number, string, etc. etc. It can be easily and dynamically modified. A list is composed using a square bracket. We can access a list item by referring to its index number enclosed within the square bracket. Suppose we are declaring a list containing an integer, a float, and two strings. Now we want to fetch the list item using the index number of the list. In Python, the index starts with 0. So if you want to fetch the third item, you type 2. Once we enter 2, the third item will be displayed in the output window. Now let's replace the third item, that is Sachin, with Rohit. It is easily done. Now let's display the list variable. Okay. We get the replaced list with the substituted item. Now, let's move on to discuss tuples. So just like a list, a tuple contains an ordered sequence of items separated by commas. The only difference is that it cannot be modified. It is used to protect the data and is usually faster than list. A tuple is defined using the parentheses. Let's define a tuple containing the same set of values as we have defined in the list. We just change the brackets. It returns the index values just like the list. Just to double check, we type A3, we get the fourth item of the tuple in the output. Now let's check the type of the variable A. We get tuple in return. In a tuple, the items are write protected. Let us try to substitute the third item. Oh, we get an error. So we understand that the tuple is write protected and cannot be modified. Now let's move on to sets. A set is an unordered collection of unique items. It is composed using curly braces and items are separated by commas. Since there is no order, so we cannot fetch the items using their index numbers. Let's define a set containing duplicate numbers. Now, let's print our set B. We get the unique numbers in an ascending order. Now, let us try to fetch the second item from the set. Okay, we get the error. So, we cannot fetch any set items just like we did in the list or tuple, since in a set, items are not ordered and hence there is no index mapped to each item. Now, let's discuss the next data type, that is dictionary. A dictionary is an unordered collection containing pairs of key and value. The key must be unique and can be of any format, numeric or string, and the value can be of any data type and can repeat. The key acts as an index for the pair and thus values are retrieved using the key. A dictionary is composed using braces. Generally, we use a dictionary when we have huge data. Let us define a dictionary containing sets of values and strings along with the keys. Now, let us fetch the items using the key. First, let's try to fetch a string. We type B4 and get the desired result. Now, let's try to fetch the number. We type B5. Alright, we get a desired result based on the key. So that's it in this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we will understand how basic arithmetic calculations can be performed with Python.